Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. This is your 10 essential tips video for Virtua Fighter 5 Revo. This recently came out the other day. The classic Virtua Fighter 5 brought back modern graphics, rollback netcode, all the great fixings, including a pretty nice balance patch as well. And we already have a choose a main and beginner's guide up, but here I just want to highlight some very specific tips for you in your Virtua Fighter journey. So that said, let's start with number 1. Now, tip number 1, no matter who you're playing, it doesn't matter what character, find your fastest mid attack. Attacks come in 3 flavors: highs, mids, and lows. And we're specifically looking for a mid. Now, for almost everyone, their fastest mid is forward and punch. For some people like Akira, it's forward punch. For some people like Wolf, it's down forward and punch. But regardless, once again, most of the cast, simply forward and punch. The reason we want the fastest mid is simply to stop down punch. You're going to find out real quick in this game, down punch is every single character in the game. It's their best move. Everybody, doesn't matter who you are, this is your best move. Because it's quick and also it's evasive. It crouches, avoiding highs, and it can just basically keep hitting you out of the thing you want to do. So, all things being equal, your fastest mids hit crouchers, your fastest mid stops them from spamming moves like that. So at any time when you think people are just going to go panic and just smash this, you go for your fastest mid attack. Once again, usually forward punch, sometimes down forward or usually forward punch. And this will stop them cold. Also, a nice advantage, when you beat someone trying to mash that punch, you'll get a counter hit. And usually, most of your fastest mids also give you incredible frame advantage on counter hit. Meaning it's your turn and in a very big way. That's it. It's really that simple. Once again here, find your fastest mid. Everyone's best panic move is down and punch. At least till you get really advanced, right? And you're going to find people spamming it all the time. So you want to be able to beat it, and your fastest mid is the way you beat it. Our next tip is always be evading. So evasion in this game is universal. It works for everyone the exact same way, and it's as simple as tapping down or up. That's it. And when someone comes at you with an attack, you tap down or up, and you evade it. It's really that simple. The only rule is the attack just has to be happening. If you hit up or down and there is no attack, then, well, you don't evade. When you evade, you are actually invincible. Like, you cannot be hurt by anything. Now, the rules for evading, once again, you can evade everything, right? It is not as valuable to evade something like little and quick, like just a base jab. Some moves that recover very quick, like they can very easily guard after the fact, or maybe even they can do something else entirely and still hit you, right? Like, you getting an attack is not necessarily a guarantee. What you want to be doing is watching out for those home run swings where someone's doing something really big. And then you blow them up for it, right? Evasion can give you guaranteed damage. Evasion can make certain moves punishable like that normally wouldn't be. Like Sarah, the big booty bop here. If you block this move, it's her turn. She's advantage on block. The only way to get the punish is if you got out of the way of it. And it's that simple. Once again, just down or up when attack's happening, done. Now, once again, the attack has to be happening. If you pre-dodge an attack before anything's on screen, you do not have any invincible properties. And then when you're like trying to dodge, then you can just get punched in the face. You are not allowed to block while dodging. Now, of course, to note, there are certain moves that beat dodges in certain directions, or perhaps all directions if they're very slow. But that's the name of the game, right? If they're calling you out and dodging too much, that's your fault. This is Virtua Fighter. Every play has counterplay, but still, the base dodge is completely free to do, so you got to keep it in mind. Now, as our next tip, directly following up from evasion, let's talk about another kind of evasion, avoiding multiple kinds of attacks at the same time. It's a big part of the game, being able to what we call steal turns, when the opponent is at advantage and they should be dictating the pace, but then you say, nah. Regular classic evasion is one part of it, but another big part of it is doing certain kinds of attacks that can defeat multiple other kinds of attacks. So let's look at this move here. Akira does back forward punch. If you look at my advantage, it says -1. So even though it's a single frame, it can mean a lot, as he will recover before I will, 1 frame faster, which means he can basically hit buttons before I can hit buttons. So in this scenario, I block and I hit buttons. Like if we just go for both standard punch, he's going to win every single time. And that's very scary, right? Now, same scenario, he knows I'm going to be defensive. Oh, I get thrown. Because I know I'm not allowed to hit buttons in that scenario, so I stop hitting buttons. I just hold block, like a good little fighting game player. And then I get chucked for my problem. If only there was some way I could do something and beat multiple options of his. Well, you can. Say if you watch that beginner guide, you would know you can't be thrown if you're attacking. So if I know he's going for that throw, well then I can just mash buttons and I got him. But I still lose if I try to hit a regular button here. So here's an example of beating multiple things at the same time. I'll do this, go for my crouch punch. My crouch punch avoids highs, and I'm attacking so I can't be thrown. And just like I said earlier in the video, this is why this is everyone's best move. Because it can beat a lot of situations at the same time while giving them just a little tap and then putting the ball back in your court. This is one example in a basic scenario, but a crouch punch will always beat highs and it'll always beat throws. So this gives you a lot of advantage. But there's a lot more than just crouch punch, right? It's not always applicable in every situation. Like say we're further away and someone's coming with an advancing high. And if I'm very far away, that crouch punch isn't going to do anything because it's not going to connect, right? Like, what good does that do me from that far away? But many people have moves that naturally go under highs. And it's actually one of the great things about R.E.V.O, specifically the patch, is they made that much more apparent across the board. There was already a bunch of moves in the game that did that, but now a bunch of moves, like say this one here for Pi, down punch plus kick, that didn't do it but looked like it did. A lot of moves that looked like they would go under highs now go under highs as well. So in this scenario here where I know the opponent's coming in with a high move, I can also attempt to approach them with a move I know will automatically go underneath high moves. So just the act of being able to attack while avoiding something is very powerful. So now we understand the concept that there's a lot of moves that can go under highs. How about moves that go over lows? There's lots of moves in this game. If it looks like you're any kind of jumping or like any kind of airborne, it'll go over lows. So the bot's going to down punch me here on block, and I'm going to do this in a setup where I'm negative. So I'm negative here, -2, and I'll do forward, kick, and guard. And notice, I just go through the attack because the majority, if it looks like it anyways, any move that hops in any way will basically go over a low. And moves that are really good at this, like here, I'm -5, I can still do it. So in a lot of situations, moves that go lower or moves that go higher, even when you're at frame disadvantage, you can basically steal turns by doing these moves to avoid highs and lows. And of course, while you're attacking, you can't be thrown, so you're avoiding multiple kinds of attacks, throws and highs or lows, depending on the attack. Now, generally, well, these all lose to mids, like all these special attacks, because mids are their own thing. You know, mids are generally a little bit slower, and that's kind of the benefit. The mid's the old reliable. You're not gimmicking your way around a mid by like going under things or going over things. But still, knowing when you have the opportunity to beat multiple sorts of attacks at the same time is very powerful. Now, our next tip is, pay attention to the stage, because this is a game where you can just die by falling off the edge. And no, there is absolutely no ring out protection or whatever, like they added in later years in Soul Calibur. You can walk yourself off the stage if you're not paying attention, and so you gotta pay attention. People can easily push you against your will. Like, if people crouch dash you while you're near the ring edge, they'll knock you out. They don't even have to hit you. And this absolutely can work both ways, because hey, I have my opponent on the ropes, they're about to be ringed out. No, dummy, you're ringed out. Lots of characters can easily swap places with you and ring you out. Hey, you got your big combo that's gonna ring him out? Sick, awesome, good for you. Oh wait, you lost. Why? Because you touched the ground first. Take your feet off the gas, please. Let nature take its course and gravity do its thing. You don't need to finish the combo once they're already going over the edge. This one's from deep in the rooflemonger files. Oh man, hey Vanessa, awesome at tackling people over the edge. Keep in mind though, interceptor tackle changes your positions. And now I'm gonna die because I'm on the wrong thing and my feet will, pay attention to the stage, okay? I know the wall is easy to figure out. Walls, hey, don't get put up against the wall, but there's so many particulars about ring outs that should be obvious that aren't, and just pay attention, please. Next tip is a dirty little trick just for the characters who happen to have crouching grabs. So a big part of the game, when you get knocked down, you want to get up pretty quick, right? You want to get up as fast as you can because you don't want the opponent to get free hits on you if you stay on the ground. Sure. The thing is, there's a difference between getting up in place and getting up rolling to the side. Now, most of the time, getting up rolling to the side's better just for like positioning, if nothing else. Getting up in place, you get up standing, which can be bad because like if someone tries to throw you right away, well, you're standing right away. Getting up while tech rolling though, you get up crouching for like the first couple frames. Like you can still block everything the same. Don't worry about that. Just for the game rules, it counts as you crouching as you get up. And this is where the characters with the crouch grabs, well, they can abuse you. So here, Jeffrey, he's getting up rolling, and whoops, he's going for a ride, broke his arm. So Jeffrey's crime in this scenario for tech rolling is I'm going to break his damn arm. Because I got him with a crouch grab. Because he counts as crouching in those precious few frames while getting up. So it means he's susceptible to getting crouch grabbed. Now, not everyone has crouch grabs. A good chunk of the cast do, but not everyone. But it's a fine how do you do that you wake up and like, wait, I got crouch grab? Because you have to break crouch grabs hitting down buttons, not just the regular throw text, right? The last thing you would expect after Wolf hits you with the big combo is to find out, oh, whoops, we're going for the ride. Because you probably weren't ready to break a crouching throw tech, right? So you gotta watch out for that kind of stuff. It's tricky, but keep you in mind, don't always tech roll if the opponent can crouch grab, because they might be setting you up for this. Now this one, I know this sounds obvious, but I really gotta hammer this home, is use training mode, please. Now one, of course, you're gonna need to know training mode just to learn your sick combos, all that kind of stuff, right? That's bare minimum. And yes, go through all your moves, learn your stuff, like, that's kind of 101, you gotta do it, sure. But it also helps to know the numbers, and thankfully, the game is very good at teaching you which numbers matter and which ones don't. Some of them it could do a little better, like what's the difference between -5 and -6? Well, the world, actually. That'll get its own section. But the training mode is really good at teaching you which numbers matter. Like, see here it says -10. Notice how this is showing up in a different color than everything else. -10 is significant because -10 means the enemy gets a guaranteed throw attempt on you. Not necessarily a guaranteed throw. Like, they can try. If you know which throw is coming, you can still tech it, right? That option's there. But green is bad. That means they get to try to throw you, and you got no way out other than hope you teched right. Another important number you're going to see here turn blue now is -12. -12 means you're guaranteed to get strike punished. Everyone has at least one 12-frame move in stand punch. And pretty much everyone in stand punch has like some sort of strings or combo or like whatever attached to it. And if you do a move and it says it's -12, that means no matter what, you're guaranteed to take damage. But they're only guaranteed to take damage if you know. If I hit you with this and you don't know this move is -12, then I get to get away with it, right? So you need training mode to learn what moves of yours are good. And once you start fighting certain characters a lot, learn their moveset too to learn which moves are extra bad. Like, let's go through our colors again here. -15. -15, this means now you're probably eating a small combo. Like, let's show it in action here. So here's that -12 move, and the opponent is blocking right after the fact, as you can see here, holding guard. So, don't matter. I'm going to get some guaranteed damage no matter what, because I have a 12-framer. Everyone has at least one 12-framer, right? Or better sometimes. Some moves actually are less safe, but no matter what, even if you're holding block, I'm getting in that guaranteed damage. Much the same here, this move, -15, so it shows us +15 for me. For many characters, +15, magic button. I'm going to get some kind of conversion here, and depending on the character, they get a lot of damage. Some people get less, some people get more. But usually, a lot of people either have a 15-frame small combo starter, or a 14-frame move that's like a single hit that does a fair amount of damage. And there's other numbers and other colors, like -17's orange now, and quite a few characters have 17-frame launchers. So here, this move is 17 frames and is -17, so it could punish itself, basically. And if you see something red, you're done. So training mode is important. It's where you learn the numbers, either that or go to a place like virtualfighter.com. Amazing resource. I'll teach you a lot of the numbers on everything. And it's important to know the numbers, and training mode will let you do that on top of you learning all your sickest combos. Now here's where we start getting into the weeds with the advanced concepts. In the previous section I mentioned, what's the difference between -5 and -6, and it being the world? Well, that's the thing. There's a concept called fuzzy guarding, and I know I hate the term. Fuzzy is the worst term in all of fighting games because it literally means very different things depending on what game you're in. But fuzzy guarding in this game is the concept of crouch dashing and then hitting block. And basically, you'll crouch dash under a high attack, which is, a lot of attacks, and specifically throws, and you'll still wake up in time, stand up in time to block a mid coming your way. So here it is, short and simple. We'll start with -5. So this move here is -5 on block. The opponent is set to do a high attack first. We'll start with that. And you see, I blocked. No big deal. Like anything else, I blocked. But now, just to make sure our block is correct, we'll set him have to do a mid, right? And sure enough, we get to block that mid just the same. No big deal. But now, okay, how about that nasty throw? If we just stand block normally, we're going to get thrown. I can just quickly duck under the throw pretty as you please. So as long as I'm -5 or less, after any move of mine is blocked, I can crouch dash really quick and then just hit block, and I'll still be able to block just fine and avoid a throw. Now, if I'm -6, this is where that all changes. So let's rewind. So go back to that high. So -6, I can still avoid the high. Sure. Okay, so -6, let's go to the mid. I can still block the mid. But the problem herein lies. Now we're going to go for that throw option. -6, I can't do it. I can't do it. I will always get thrown. Because here's the weird thing about crouching in Virtua Fighter specifically. Crouching counts as a crouch frame 1 immediately if it's for an attack. I can dodge a high immediately. Like, as long as it's not a punish, as long as there's 1 frame different, I can always duck a high, no matter what, right? So you're always allowed to duck attacks on frame 1. But when it comes to throws specifically, crouching doesn't go off frame 1. It takes a few frames to crouch to go under a throw. And the difference between -5 and -6 is basically that difference. So when a move is -5 or less on block, I can always crouch dash underneath it. And here comes another dark secret. Crouch dashes crouch faster than regular dash. So -5, crouch dash. -5, hold down, I still get thrown. So you have to specifically crouch dash in these scenarios to get under the high. Just holding down and block, or just holding down by itself, will not do it. This is part of the reason why throws are so strong in this game. Because they can just get hit by throws in so many situations you wouldn't be able to in other games. So yeah, once again, as long as you're less than -6, you can always crouch dash a throw, and then immediately hit block and avoid all highs, mids, and throws. You're good to go. So -1, 2, 3, or 5, you're good. -6 or more, though, the opponent will always be able to attempt to throw you. And yes, if you know the throw is coming, you can always tech the throw. 100% of the time, you're always allowed to tech the throw. And if you know the throw is coming, you can just attack them. Because once again, you can't be thrown while attacking, right? But this is one of the biggest numbers in the game, -6. This is why knowing frame data matters. A lot of the old timers will call this Nitaku, 2 choices. It's a lot more layered than that. There's a lot more than 2 choices realistically. But effectively, every time you're -6 or more, you're now in throw strike mix-up. This is why it pays to know the frame data, and why certain moves that are -5 or less are much more valuable than moves that are -6 or more. You can still do a lot of things, and a lot of characters have weird defensive properties that they can do a lot more than just, guess throw or strike or whatever. They can steal turns other ways, but that's kind of the essence. So -6 or more is the scary number. -6 or less, you can always crouch dash block scam your way out of just about everything. Our next tip is identifying valuable moves for the wall. Like we talked about earlier, stage matters. If you can just ring them out, great. Like, don't worry about combos, like just ring them out. But, getting people on the wall and comboing on the wall is a very big deal. And certain moves are much more valuable. Moves that do 20 or less damage will only bounce people off the wall. If a move does 21 or more damage, it'll stagger people against the wall. And that in and of itself is important, but certain moves are much better than other moves in forcing these situations. So we'll use Jeffrey here. This move, back punch and kick. This move's amazing for pressuring people against the wall. It has the damage threshold, over 21 damage, and it also pushes people back very far. So if they're even like mildly near the wall, this will stagger them on the wall. And Jeffrey's a character that gets big guaranteed damage if you can wall combo you. Awesome, that's a good chunk of change, right? And that's off the back of just doing this move. That's why a move like this is so valuable, because you only need to be like sorta near the wall, and I only need to be sorta near you, and then like, the party train begins, right? Like, we can get huge damage this way. So this move, like in a vacuum, like in the middle of an empty arena, whatever, this move is not as great, but now we can prioritize this as an amazing move versus the wall. Lots of characters just have their own things that can stagger against walls, like Sarah, forward kick. It's forward kick, it's not as good as our Jeffrey example, but it will get the job done. and you get a good chunk of change off that, right? So you want to do identify moves like that, or like even moves that just knock people on the wall from very far away, like Sarah flip kick. That's a wall splat from an incredible distance away, and she can convert from that. Like this is a bit more edge case, so the damage won't be as big, but you still get stuff and you get pressure after the fact, all that, right? So certain moves are just simply more valuable than other moves, especially when dealing with the wall. The moves that can like really stagger at the wall, especially from like distances that are not just you mauling people against the wall, are ultra valuable, and you need to identify those moves. Another valuable thing to identify with various moves in this game is a lot of moves are more than just the move. Like, you know, it's cool, aha, I'll hit you, I'll punch you, whatever, knock you on your butt. But a lot of them have properties beyond just, I'm here to attack you, maybe I start a combo or something. Like there's things called sabakis. Sabakis are moves that eat other moves. Like take our pal Taka here. Like he's on a Doskoi rampage. He's not selling for 100 hand slap, he needs 1,000 hand slaps. And I don't know what to do. But luckily for me, I have this move back, forward, and kick. And back, forward, and kick just eats punches. Like you cannot punch me while I'm doing this. I will destroy all punches every time. Doesn't matter. And this move, it'll basically do it right away. Like let's say I do this move here, forward, forward, kick. -9 on block. That's a pretty negative number to be. Say I know Taka, he's just going to attack right after the fact. And we've talked earlier in the video about how to avoid multiple attacks at once. Well, here's another example. This back forward kick, even though I'm -9 when he attacks, it doesn't matter. I eat it right away. I got you dead to rights. All punches will lose to this kick, as long as there's a higher mitt. How do I identify these kind of moves? Well, you can look in the move list and it'll usually say deflect as part of the move. If it says deflect, that means it'll beat an attack. It doesn't say which attack it beats. It's an older game that can be done better. Hopefully Virtua Fighter 6 will figure this out. But if you see deflect, you know something's up with the move. Like go, back forward kick. This is his deflect, his sabaki. This kick beats other kicks. So many sabakis are tailor-made to beat very specific kinds of moves. So this kick here, we were fighting against Sarah because Sarah likes to kick a lot, right? So I'm doing this, and I can rest assured, just by attacking, I'll beat throws. Throws are always deadly. But I'll also beat other kinds of kicks. So Sarah's going to come in and do a big step kick on me, right? And when we do this at the same time, I win. It's as simple as that. I eat the attack. Now, some of these style moves can be very, very specific in what they want. Like Go has another one here, quarter circle forward punch and kick. And this only works against mid punches. Like you can see here, when she's attacking, he grabs her hand and then beats her up, right? So it's very particular. But it's not just a raw counter. Like this move will hit regardless. It's not just a counter attack. Once again, our move list, we're looking for moves that say deflect as part of the move. So there is normal counter moves. There's all sorts of counter moves in this game. But a sabaki, a deflect, has a counter built into the attack. So the counter happens first, then the attack goes off. So it's offensive defense, basically, or defensive, like whatever you want to flavor it as. But it's a move that'll go off regardless. It just has a really strong defensive benefit at the start. Not everyone has these kind of moves, but they're all quite valuable. Another very valuable tip, this is a bit more advanced, but it's good to know, is the buffer. So unlike 2D fighters, the buffer in this game is gigantic. Like I've seen people complain, oh, Street Fighter 6, the buffer is so big because it's 3 frames. Yo, the buffer in this game, I believe, is 11 frames. You can pre-buffer move up to like 11 frames early. That's kind of big, right? And it does occasionally lead to problems of like, where since moves are buffered in, you know, very early on, it might overwrite the buffer, like cause some problems. And here's how you overwrite the buffer clean slate. Hit block, hit guard. As soon as you hit guard by itself, it just cancels whatever came before it in the buffer and makes your life a lot easier. Like to give you a good example why this would matter. So for Taka, he's got the big launcher, right? And what he wants to do most of the time is do something like this so he can keep the combo going. So gotcha, haha, boom, boom, boom. And then just keep the combo getting my damage. Sure. But if you just do the inputs as they are, it can mess up a lot. Like after the launcher, you want to hit punch, back, down, forward, punch. That's the big spike down move, right? But if you do it normally, it'll just give you the second punch of his punch chain. Like it doesn't know you don't want to do that. Like you're inputting the correct motions, absolutely. But the game reads the buffer and it's like, oh, well, he's just doing the next punch of chops here, right? So if we punch, then hit guard and let go of guard, then the input buffer is wiped clean. The game doesn't care that you just did punch and that the next punch can do the chain, right? As you can see here, like it's just doing the regular punch versus doing the chain. So for combo structure, just for your own sake of mind, so you don't lose your mind dropping combos, when you have like singular hits that could be part of chains, do the move, then hit block, then continue doing the chain as it was, and then you'll do the combo you want versus accidentally just constantly getting the wrong thing because you don't want to do that. So once again, just tap guard. That's it. And it wipes the whole input buffer beforehand. And there you have it. So 10 tips, some a bit more beginner focused, some a bit more advanced, but as you keep on your journey with Virtua Fighter, you want to learn the more advanced stuff. So I tried to cram a little bit for everybody in this video. That said, hey, I hope you enjoyed the game. Try out R.E.V.O on PC. It's dirt cheap. It's one of the best games of all time. There's a reason why this game stays around so long. And there's a reason why Virtua Fighter 6 is finally going to be a thing. So enjoy the game. Have fun. Thank you very much. But anyways, my friends, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Virtua Fighter.